welcome back to Real Reviews. This is Cody Williams, and we're here to talk about the movie Silent Night. This movie is an action thriller flick to come from director John Woo, being his first American feature film since 2003's Paycheck. As interesting as it may sound, this movie in particular features little to no dialogue because of creative decisions within the story, hence the movie's title. Anyways, now that I just got done watching the movie, I'm ready to talk about it. The movie story follows a tormented father who witnesses his young son die when caught in a gang's crossfire on Christmas Eve. While recovering from a wound that cost him his voice, he makes vengeance his life's mission and embarks on a punishing training regimen in order to avenge his son's death. Well, the movie wasn't half bad. It wasn't the greatest, but at least the movie did its job. I went in expecting a no-holds-barred action flick, and that's what I got. Sure, I have some issues with it, and of course I'll get to those later. For now, I want to talk about what the movie does a tremendous job at, whether it be its ever so exhilarating action sequences, some neat-looking post-production editing, aesthetically pleasing cinematography, and lastly but not least, some good acting. In typical John Woo fashion, you know there's going to be some really good-looking, stylish, and over-the-top action scenes, and boy, this movie delivered. There's a plethora of car chases, gunfights, and also hand-to-hand combat scenes that are all super brutal. While watching the movie, I was completely on the edge of my seat, just transfixed by what transpired. I have to say that's unfair to compare this movie to the John Wick movies because you have to hand it to the man himself, John Woo. He revitalized the action genre in the 80s and the 90s, so without him, you probably wouldn't have the John Wick movies. Another thing about the movie that really impressed me would have to be its editing that was done in post-production. I'm a sucker for some really good-looking, seamless transitions, and this movie had plenty of them. The way they were all done was very impressive. I do think that the movie could have done without the slow-mo effects, but I can't hold it against John Woo because that's one of his classic staples that he likes to include in all of his movies. Aesthetically speaking, the movie's cinematography is really nice. I like how all the action scenes look like they're all filmed in one take and how most of the shots were captured. There was some interesting use of lighting throughout the movie that I really enjoyed as well. Acting-wise, I thought Joel Kinnaman killed it as the silent protagonist. The reason why there's no dialogue from his character is because he gets shot in the larynx and he loses the ability to speak. I thought it was an interesting creative choice that somehow kind of worked for me. Also, because of that aspect of a silent protagonist, it just felt like I was watching a Let's Play walkthrough of a video game. So I kind of liked the idea, and a little bit I didn't. It was pretty weird having other co-stars not talking, so that kind of took me out of the movie. One thing about the movie that really bothered me would have to be how unoriginal it is. It feels like a copy and paste from every other revenge movie that exists, minus the dialogue. During the last act of the movie or so, it honestly felt like I was watching The Punisher, the Thomas Jane version at least. I'm sure I'm not the first to say this, but I thought it was a weird choice to use CGI for the blood and gunshots. Everything else about the movie looks like it was all done in a practical manner, so why bother with CGI at all? It just doesn't make any sense to me. I also do think that the writing could have been somewhat better. I don't know how it could have been done differently, but I just wasn't overly impressed. With all that said, this movie was just alright. Overall, Silent Night is an ambitiously provocative action flick that is visually stunning, that however lacks in substance. While it had the potential to be something great and different, it felt lackluster. It's not an overly great movie, and it's not downright terrible either. If anything, this movie is just about as average as they come. I give this movie a C. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel to keep up with my real reviews.